In the last episode, I tried to attack a giant tree, and after 3 days straight of doing that, I decided I needed a bit of help. G'day everyone, welcome back, and as you can see, this is meant to be the beginning of a horse. I basically ended up with a dog. Let's call it for what it is, right? So we're gonna try and shape this, fix it, thin it down and all that, and I have a bit of help. So let me introduce you. This is Brandon from BK Carving. Thank you, Brandon, for coming and helping me out. This is Hiker. This is my wife's prize horse. He is absolutely gorgeous. An FEI Grand Prix schoolmaster. She is a very, very special horse. We've named this property after her. She's so special to us. So she's Hiker and this is Hiker Park.
So we set about spending some time with Hiker and getting some reference photos that we could use throughout the sculpt, because at the end of the day, we wanted it to mostly look like her. I don't know how close we'd get, but I've got the help of a master who, after measuring it up for a little bit, gave me a crack at trying my hand on the big saw on the big sculpture.
So we're sort of here and straight down there.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Go on, mate.
Let the workout begin. My God, not only is the chainsaw heavy, but applying the pressure on and holding it up to shoulder height, this was a really big workout, and it was my first cut.
It was going pretty well, going in on that angle, tried to come in on the other side. I'm just a little nervous I'm gonna be cutting too far into the neck and I don't wanna ruin the shape. So I think I'll participate wherever I'm confident that I'm not gonna ruin things, and I'm really eager to learn and try and bring you into the experience, but I also want the result to be as good as possible, which is why I'm gonna hand it over to Brandon for a little bit. Let's get this shape happening.
As soon as we started tag teaming and Brandon started stepping in and cutting, it was clear that this is someone with experience. And it really is impressive and inspirational to watch an artist work in the medium that they're comfortable with, especially when it's something as unique and different as chainsaw sculpture. Fortunately, aside from the occasional cut that I was brave enough to volunteer for that I thought wouldn't ruin the sculpture, I was able to put my drawing skills to use regularly and come in at all these various stages and pitch in my thoughts and feedback on how we should capture the silhouette of Hiker. With the core silhouette drawn and locked in, it was time to start reducing the mass of my weird blocky dog and finessing it more towards a graceful horse.
So she's got quite a thin face. Her eyes to me are sort of like here, so, and the head sort of narrows down until it comes out. So then as far as ears go, so this is sort of coming in.
Trying to draw where it steps in. It's really helpful.
Now, apparently you know a magic spell to re-summon wood there. What's the plan for the missing bits?
Copy and paste.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool, I didn't realise you could do that with wood carving.
We'll find out of the offcuts a nice clean section of straight grain timber.
Just grab
cleaner than that, and then we'll attach it. We'll attach it on. Do you want to do some of those cuts?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll give it a crack.
Do those straight down through there. If you feel comfortable sweeping those through,
I'll give it a try, yeah.
that'd be sick.
Now, switching up to finessing the silhouette with a smaller electric chainsaw meant that it was a lot easier to handle and a lot easier to finesse the shape, at least in more specific or controlled areas. But with that said, it was also a lot easier to take it a little bit too far.
No, leave that, please.
I'm getting too hectic?
Yeah.
All right, that's my call. He's like, stop.
That's fairly deep. I think we can resurrect that. That's fine.
Now the sculpture was really starting to take shape. We swapped the chainsaw around a little bit. I did the cuts that I was more confident with and that I thought wouldn't ruin the sculpture. And Brandon, of course, doing some of the more complicated and tricky cuts. But really, I started to feel like Hiker was actually starting to emerge.
It's the funniest thing, because I'm so used to patting Hiker, I feel like that gives me a feel for where it should be. I told you there was a horse in there.
There's a horse in there. I can start to see it. It's less foxy doggy.
My harshest critic, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just see how we go, shall we? We're getting braver.
Yeah. I like it.
So I'm going to try and shape the cut as I go.
Yeah.
You did.
All right, let's give it a crack. This is really good timing for a visit because we're just starting to look at details and now we have our reference. Quite a lot flatter here than I sort of thought, or even it looks like in some of the pictures. This is interesting. So we're going from the back of the ear and all along here, sort of this really thick, long muscle that comes around the front. We sort of have this one section in the middle, like the throat, but then the shoulders overlay into the front. You're very pretty. We're just trying to get your likeness.
And then see down here how far this comes out.
Yeah. Woo! Did you get snot on your kid?
Now, aside from removing the material to turn our blocky dog into the horse, we had to add some material. In particular, we lost an ear and took a chunk out of the other one. But it turns out, with limitations, you can add wood to your wood sculptures where it's missing or needs repairs. So Brandon set about finding the right pieces of material with the right grain and wood tone to glue, dowel, and clamp together so that they could then be recut as part of the whole sculpture when they were set.
All right, just fun flashback. This is what it looked like after one full day of sculpting with electric chainsaw by myself last time. And this is what it looks like after one full day with the help of a professional and the right tools. So in lining up to get ready to attack this tomorrow, let's start with a front angle. So it's sort of like gradienting down here. That's looking really primo. So we have finished the blocking or the block out stage today, and then tomorrow we have one day to finish this piece. That's how long I've got Brandon for. Let's go.
Now, I thought the blocking of day one was cool. When we get into the refining in day two, oh my God, this is so satisfying and fun to watch. Now, this is an area where I really did have to leave most of the work to the master, because I found in the few attempts that I made, controlling the saw was everything. And like I learned in simpler situations, taking off too much material is really hard to reverse. The same is even more true when it comes to finessing these much more delicate shapes that indicate the intricacies of anatomy and the flow of the skin on the horse.
I am trying to help define the face. So I've drawn the inner eye.
That's the actual eye. Yep,
and
cool.
then that's the lid there.
Brandon was switching through a variety of petrol and electric, sharper tipped and much smaller chainsaws. And there was only one step where he moved away from using chainsaws at all, and that was in the details of the eyes, and in a few minor details elsewhere around the nose. Specifically using a die grinder, which is kind of like a giant Dremel, to make sure we have the detail in there to pull the attention where it needs to go and have a little bit of that sharpness and control. Meanwhile, I wanted to be a little bit useful and prepare for the final finishing touches. So I asked Brandon to prepare a log for me that I could test some finishing effects and stains on to take our sculpture across the finish line. So I smoothed out my rough bit of wood that Brandon prepped. I guess you could call it a swatch log. And with that nice and smooth, I gave it a bit of a scorching, especially in the indented areas using the torch. This nicely brings out the grain and also makes the wood look a bit aged. Then with a stain on top, this was a Mirabu stain that we actually also used on the arena. My hope is that we'll give it a really refined, aged look.
Do you have a minute for feedback?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, it works.
That's the char, so I've charred and brought it back a touch on the highlights.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, go team.
It was just such a pleasure to see Brandon work. He actually told me the story about the first time he saw someone chainsaw sculpting. He said he always remembered it, but sort of went about his life. And quite a while later, he thought to himself, you know, I really want to give that a go. It just stuck with him to the degree that when the time came around for him to try it and he fell in love with it, it transformed his life and profession. And I like the idea that maybe, just like his experience, there might be a couple of people watching this and thinking how cool and transformative a tool like a chainsaw and a piece of wood can be to make something beautiful could be. And maybe a few people might end up being inspired from this video.
last bit. Just trimming down one little bit of asymmetry, and then we're on to sanding.
Fortunately, I could be a lot more useful from this stage as well. We got it to the stage where it was quite smooth in like 90% of the sculpture, with a bit of roughness in some of the crevices that would be brought out with a bit of the charring. But before we do that, we have to move her.
Brendan's going to go in half an hour, which means this is a timed challenge. We have half an hour to do a little bit of charring to bring out some shading, stain it with a few hands on deck. Trick with this is going to be subtlety, but I think it might be banging effect.
Hiker's a pretty cluey and clever horse. She's gonna notice something different and horse-shaped in the middle of her walking path back to her stable, so I thought it'd be fun to catch on camera introducing her to the statue of herself. I expected her to be a little bit perturbed at first, and hopefully she can appreciate the effort we've gone to show Hiker how much she matters to my family and my wife, and our personal little adventure creating Hiker Park. Now, Brandon was so awesome through this whole process. I can't thank him enough, and I'm hoping you can join me in thanking him too. Go check out BK Carving on Instagram. He's so talented, and I think he'd really appreciate it if you just jump over, pick one of your favourite pieces he's made, and say something nice. And of course, anyone in Australia who's looking for a talented sculptor to commission, his website's listed in the Instagram. Thanks, Brandon.
Come on in, Brandon. Victory lap. Ready to go, victory lap. Ah, high five on the way. Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Bit of fuel.
But the tears happened before Brandon came along. Thank you so much.
Pleasure,
Absolutely
mate.
incredible.
Pretty cool result, isn't it?
Thank you so much. I'm just so chuffed with that.
Awesome, mate.
Something really special. Thank you so much.
Nah, absolute pleasure, mate. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Hope you guys had some fun too. See you in the next video.